What if the most frustrating part of your life right now, the thing you're having to figure out that you didn't sign up for, the skill you're being forced to learn, the steep curve that you're grinding up against, what if that was actually the best thing happening to you? Because today we're going to talk about why it just might be. Welcome to your daily hit of grace and grit, your quick dose of inspiration to kickstart your day. I'm Courtney Townley, and here is today's hit. Here's what I see constantly with the women I work with. They come to something new, a new health practice, a new tool they need to learn, a new way of doing something. And almost immediately, the frustration starts to seep in. This is hard. I'm not good at this yet. I don't understand it. Why is this taking so long? Any of that sound familiar? And underneath all of that is a belief that the learning phase is a problem. The thing to get through as quickly as possible so you can arrive at competence and finally relax. But what if we have it exactly backwards? What if the learning phase, the uncomfortable, humbling, effortful part, is not the obstacle? What if it's actually the whole point? When we learn something new, we aren't just acquiring information. We're literally changing the structure of our brains. Neuroscience research consistently shows that learning new skills promotes neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections and reorganize itself. It's one of the most powerful things we can do to protect cognitive health as we age. The brain thrives on novelty and challenge. Routine, while comfortable, does not stimulate the same kind of growth. So beyond the neuroscience, there is something that happens to our identity when we learn. Every new skill we acquire expands our sense of what we're capable of. We become quite literally more capable, more adaptable, more confident in our ability to figure things out. And with that last one, confidence in our ability to figure things out, that might be the most valuable skill set of all. I coach a lot of coaches, so I spend a lot of time consulting with coaches who are either just brand new coaches, or maybe they're more seasoned coaches, but they're trying to move their business online. And there's a lot of learning. There's a lot of messiness in order to build a business. And I always tell them or encourage them to find ways of falling in love with the learning and with the process, because it never goes away. So one of the phrases I'm always saying is new level, new devil. Just because you conquer a new skill set or a problem in your business doesn't mean that there aren't more waiting for you. In fact, the more successful you become, the bigger the problems become. And so if we can really start to find ways of enjoying problem solving and challenges and learning, of course you're going to stay the course. So think about the learning curves that women often navigate without giving themselves nearly enough credit along their health journey. So we've talked on this podcast about learning how to food journal, right? Tracking, noticing patterns, adjusting based on what you learn. That's a skill, and it's wildly uncomfortable at first, sometimes for a long time. Learning a new form of exercise, which for a lot of women in midlife is strength training, right? Or maybe it's a new movement hobby of, that you want to learn. Figuring out how to train smarter rather than harder. In the early weeks of learning any of that, you feel clumsy and discouraged and frustrated. And that is your brain and body adapting. Learning a foreign language, moving to a new country, and navigating an entirely different culture and system building a business online from scratch. These are enormous undertakings that require sustained, humbling, frustrating, exhilarating learning. But I've long been a believer, and I talk about this a lot, that health is an exercise in expansion. Expanding who we are as humans, expanding our possibilities, expanding our confidence, expanding our expression. And we can't expand if we aren't willing to learn and fumble and problem solve. I feel like there's been so many examples of this in my life, but the two that really come to mind are parenting. I'm always reminding my son that this is the first time I've ever parented. So I'm going to get a lot of things wrong. And in my business, I have literally failed my way to where I am, right? I started working for somebody else in health coaching. And then I took the leap to start my own online business, knowing nothing about the online space. Starting a podcast, knowing nothing about podcasting. Starting group coaching, starting a membership, writing a book, right? It was all just a willingness to learn, make mistakes, and keep expanding. And I don't think I could have done any of that if I genuinely didn't learn how to enjoy the process along the way. Are there terrible seasons? Are there hard days? Of course. But in general, it's been such a blast to be on this journey. So I've been thinking about this a lot. I think maybe because my 50th is coming up next year, but I've been thinking a lot about all the skill sets that I still want to learn in my life. And I'm also being faced with my own mortality, right? I know I only have so much life left to live. And I was thinking, what would it be like if I just was all in with one new skill set per year? Whether that was learning a language, learning a craft or an art, playing a sport, learning how to write in a certain way. But imagine let's just say I had a good 30 years left. I could learn 30 amazing skills in 30 years. And that's being conservative, right? Like I could probably learn more than that if I wanted to. But one skill all in for a year, how much more expansive as a human would I be if I actually pursued that? And it's not about mastering it or becoming an expert, just genuinely learning, putting in the time, tolerating the discomfort, coming out the other side more capable than you were before. So we underestimate our ability to learn and grow as humans, especially in midlife when we've largely decided who we are and what we're capable of. But I always remind my clients that story is not fixed. It's definitely not finished. So the next time you find yourself frustrated by a learning curve, I want you to try to reframe it. Not as a thing standing between you and where you want to be, but as the thing that is actively making you more of who you are becoming. The magic is never in the knowing. The magic is in the learning. So I hope you will extend yourself the grace of lots and lots of future learning. If this stirred something inside of you, imagine what a whole book of clarity and courage could ignite. The Consistency Code, a midlife woman's guide to deep health and happiness, goes even deeper into the mindset and practices that create real, meaningful change at midlife. Grab your copy today over at theconsistencycode.com and keep the momentum alive.